Hi, and welcome to Dime's Block of the Month. I'm PJ Wong, and I'm going to walk you through the process of doing the zigzag block. This is block number 10. Okay, so this is what I'm calling the zigzag block, and you can see it kind of has a nice diagonal running through. This is an image of the block, and then this is a picture of the actual block that's been stitched out. And here's a layout. And then this is also kind of a companion block to the block that we'll be doing for next month. And this is what it looks like with the two together. So this is the next month's block. I'm calling this one Diamond Snowball. And then here's the zigzag block. So it makes for a very fun layout. Okay, so we're going to be creating our artwork in my block piecer and putting together all the stitching files, and then we'll embellish adding the stippling with my quilt embellisher. All right, let's get started. So here we are in my block piecer. Don't forget to download your free designs. I'm just going to open up a new page here. My grid, I'm going to check my grid, and this is set at 1/4 of an inch square, and my snap to grid is on, which is exactly what I want. And I'm just going to come up here to my rectangle tool and draw out my base square so that I know where I'm designing to, and this can be an outline, and I want to just pull this out and let it snap to the grid. Then I'm going to select that, and I'm going to go over here to size, and since this is not actually a square, I'm going to take off the maintain aspect ratio, and I'm going to build this to 7 by 7. And I'm going to go up here to my the ruler bar and tell it to center the origin. So now I've got my 7-inch square exactly where I want it. So to build the diagonal that's going to go across here, I'm going to want to come in 5 increments over and down, and then in and up. So I am going to start with, I'm just going to start with a rectangle, and I'm going to right click and choose a different color and come up here and say fill and apply to that. And then I'm just going to start this by dragging this out to my, it's basically 1 1/4 inch square. And then I'm going to come in here to my shape tool, and I'm just going to drag this out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this one's going to go to here, and I'm going to need 1 extra point. So I'm just going to come to the line and right click and say add a point. And then I need to make that a line point. And then I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I need 1 more point for here. So add a point, make that a line, and then pull this into the corner. 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess I can't count. There we go. 5. So 5 increments here and 5 there. 5 here and 5 here. Okay. So then to do my little corners, I want my corners to be the same 5 increments in, or 1 1/4 inch. So I'm going to choose a different color and my rectangle tool, and I'm just going to come in, drag in. This is my little trick for getting triangles that are going sideways, is I just do a square and then take out a point. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here is my square, and then I'm just going to delete the point, and there's my triangle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I want the same thing down here, so I'm just going to select that and say copy paste, and then I'm just going to rotate that around and then just drag that into place. Now I just need to do my middle bits in here, so I am just going to once again start with a square, and I'm just going to drag this into position here. I'm going to turn that a different color. Let's use this lovely yellow. We'll select that, and then we'll turn that yellow. And then again, I'm just going to drag my points, and my snap to grid is on, so I'm just using that to my advantage, and I'm just going to drag that into place. So there's my middle section, and I can choose the select tool, and I'm once again just going to copy and paste that and then rotate that around to get the other side. And then we'll just drag this up here into place. So there is all of our artwork created. I'm going to go up here to this very first one that I created, and I can just delete that now that I have my block into position where it's supposed to be. We no longer need that outline. All right, so now we get to play with previewing some fabric. So the parts that I have here in yellow, I'm going to want those to be what I'm considering my backgrounds. So I'm going to come in here and go to my 2018 beach sewing, and I'm just going to make those what I've been using for this series as my background is my white scissors, and I'm going to say okay to that. Same here, and I could have selected both of those at the same time, and when we do the corners I'll show you how easy it is to do that. So I'm just going to select my top corner and hold down my control key and single click to select my other corner. Then go back up here, up to my fabrics. And then this one, I think I've got this as my purple check. I'm going to say okay to that. And again, with the preview, you can really just play and see anything that you like. So that one really, the print is too large for this. And probably the same here because well, actually that one's not too bad. And then for the center, I've got this one as a check as well. So let's see here. I think I've got that one sitting up as the green check. So there you go. So in my picture, I think I have the pink checks in the corner, but I kind of like the dots. Maybe we'll leave it that way. Okay, so now when I build this block, I actually want to start from the corner down here and go this direction. I think that if we just select this and tell this to build normally, if we sort our numbers, whoops, I'm just going to say auto build and preview. It starts from the center and goes to the outside. I actually want it to start here and go this direction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here to my reorder tool, and I'm simply going to start down here in the bottom and tell it 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then select all of my blocks again, and then go back to my workflow tool. So these are in the correct order now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but you can see here they're in the incorrect order. So I'm just going to drag these up into position so that they are in fact going in the correct order. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they will go this direction now. All right, so changing my seam allowance, and I am going to preview that. And so now we're starting from here. So this is our face up piece. So, and we're going in this direction, which is exactly what I'm wanting. All right, so I'm just going to save this, and I'm going to come up here and I'm going to save this to my, whoops, my C Dime Designs 2018, and then I'm going to call this 10 Zig Zag 375 and say save, and that's going to save all of the files that I need. And if we come over here, I'll pull this over so you can see here Dime Designs 2018 10 Zig Zag, and it's saved. So this is my stitching file, this is my artwork file, and then this is the preview that's showing me here's a picture of my block, here's a picture of my stitching files, and then my step by step. So this is the placement stitches that will stitch first, and then your right side up, and then it will show you all your seaming and all your tacking stitches. Okay, so we're going to say close to that, and then I'm going to come up here to my cutter, and this is going to give me all my cutting information. So, and once again, I'm going to change this so that it matches up my seam allowances, 0.375. And I just have this done on paper. And again, if you're going to a cutter or something, you can choose that as well. We've got that all set. I'm just doing this as paper. and I'm going to say apply and then save these files. And then I'm going to save this to that folder that was just created, and I'm going to call these cut files and say save to that. And then once again, what that gives you, it'll pop this up, and here is image of all of your cut files. All your pieces are numbered. And then once again, the cut file preview, so an image of your block. And then this information gives you how much materials you're going to need. And I just did one block, so. Okay, so then we can close this. So that's everything that we need out of my block pizza. I'm obviously hungry. So my block piecer, and we're going to switch over to my quilt embellisher now. Okay, so here we are in my quilt embellisher, and once again, don't forget to download your free designs. So I am simply going to bring up a new page, and then I'm going to go into my designs, and here's my folder, and go down to my 10, my zigzag, and here is my artwork. So I'm just going to pull this in, and I'm going to go up here and right click and say center origin. Okay, so for this, I want this to be stippled, but I don't want it all over stippled. I'm going to do some little offsets on the corners, and then I want each of these individual sections to be stippled all by themselves. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm simply just going to select this, and I'm going to say ungroup. So now here are all of our different components. So there's our corner, and then our background pieces. Okay, so this is really easy. I'm just going to select these 3 center sections, and I'm going to come up here to my stippling icon, and I'm just going to say convert to stippling. And there you have your stippling. So that stippling is pretty tight for my taste. I am going to change that density up to, let's try 8 and see what that looks like. I think that's pretty good. I tend to like really, really open stippling. So, all right. So there we have our stippling. And then we've got our corner bits here. And what I want to do with these is just do a little offset run line. So I'm just going to right click and say utility, create outline, and I want my distance, I want it to go to the inside, and I want it to be 1/4 of an inch in. So I'm going to say 0.25 and OK to that. All right, so there are my 2 little inside pieces, and that's really all there is for that. Okay, so the very first thing that I'm going to do here is I'm just going to draw out my rectangle, which is going to be my basting border. And on this one, I'm doing this first, and I'm going to change that to a color that's like no other color in my design. So I'm going to choose this crocus color. And I'm going to move this up to the top. Okay. So when I do this next part, I'm basically going to take this, the artwork that's already here, and I'm going to convert it to stippling. So a lot of times I do this basting stitch very last, but these pieces are, this artwork is actually going to go away because we're going to turn it into stippling, and I would have trouble finding my corners afterwards. So in this instance, I'm just going to do that little basting part first. So I'm going to then come up here to stippling, and boom, it's turned into stippling. I'm going to make that a little bit bigger. I'm going to take it to an 8 and say apply. And there we go. All right. So then, and I'm going to turn these guys green so they don't get confused with our basting border. And while I'm in here at my basting border, I'm going to take this and I'm going to say, oh, nope. I take that back. I'm going to select this, and then I'm going to go up here and say convert that to a run stitch, and I want it, that's a basting border, so I'm going to make that a 5, and I'll say apply to that. Okay, so now that's actually stitches, and if we turn on our 3D, you can see there's our stitches. So now for our little corner guys, I'm just going to simply select those, both of them at the same time. I'm going to right click and I'm going to say utility, create outline, and I want it to go to the inside, and I want it to be 1/4 of an inch in, so 0.25, and there we go. So that's all of our embellishments. So I'm going to just save this file, save as, and I'm going to go up here back to the folder that I was starting from in my C Dime Designs, 2018 Zig Zag, and I'm going to select this file so that I don't have to retype out this whole front end, and I'm going to take out the back part of this and call this EMB for embellishment, and I'm going to say save to that. All right, so now I'm going to open up this, which is all of my piecing information. I'm going to open this, and then I'm going to go back to my embellishment file. I'm going to select all of this, which in reality I don't need to select these two pieces, which are the artwork. I really just want my basting border and all my embellishment. So I'm just going to copy all of this, copy that, and then paste it into this other file. Okay, so that is all of our piecing, and then our basting border, and then all of our embellishments. And then again, one last thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to make this basting border just line up to the previous basting, the outside stitch here. It'll just line up a little bit better when you go to stitch that out. Okay, so then I'm going to save this file as all. So I'm going to go in and say save as, and then this one is going to be all. And then at this point I could save this out to my machine format. Okay, so that's it for the zigzag block, and let's take a look at the images again. So this is the layout with next month's block, which is this block, the diamond in the square. And then this is a layout with just the zigzag block, and you can see how I kind of got that name because it kind of does the zigzag thing. And I really like this, the way that you get the design in the design. It's one of the things I love about quilting. And then once again, an image of the actual block that's been stitched out, and then a picture of it. So we changed up our corners just a little bit, but I think it still looks fine. Okay, that's it for this month. We'll see you next month. Thanks.